Welcome everybody, this is Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community Call. It is September 13th, we are hitting October pretty soon. This is we're hitting the last quarter of the year, calendar year pretty soon, which is wild. Christmas is coming, get ready, get those gifts. So today we'll have the typical setup on the flow. So we'll recap a bit on the updates and latest news from Microsoft and events which are coming up as well. Some of those links many of you have seen, but there's always new people within the show, within this call. So we want to make sure that you are aware of all of the different options. Then we'll check out the latest news across Microsoft blogs, not that many news this week. And then we'll have a group picture with together mode in Teams, and then we go to the actual stars of the day. Now, today, originally, we were planning to have a demo done by me on the SharePoint agents, but because we had a lot of questions, also externally, around the knowledge agent and the latest capabilities on there, we did a last-minute change. So Cory is stepping in to do an introduction on the knowledge agent. Then we transition to Judith, who's in the room with us, related on knowledge agents, improve the site feature. And then Paolo is going to close up for today, related on handling legacy user settings in SharePoint Framework. Pretty technical topic. So a few or more on out-of-the-box capabilities and one on the developer and technical topics. Now, the SharePoint agent item and topic, which was in the agenda, which was actually now delayed for 1 week. So we will cover that next week still, but we wanted to make sure that the knowledge agent is properly covered within the show or within the call, because it is a new topic and people were having a lot of questions on it. Now, quickly recapping all of the different assets which we have available. So we have our YouTube channel, Microsoft Community Learning Videos. We do have a lot of videos going live over there. I think we're publishing at least one video every single day, which is actually against YouTube recommendations, but there's so much content available for you to take advantage. So please subscribe and double check what's coming out and check those videos which are relevant for you as well. All of these calls are getting recorded and they're getting published within that YouTube channel as well, also including individual demos within these calls. Now, we do have our LinkedIn page and group for discussions. We do have a lot of open source assets getting started from no code, low code, and pro code areas. And the easiest way to find all of those samples is to use our sample galleries. And from here, you can find even prompt examples. So how to actually prompt Copilot or then and deep dive pro developer stories. But again, it's a one centralized location where you can go and find the relevant sample for you. A lot of you are also remember, luckily only one actually, or in this case, we're always showing two, AKMS Community Home or Community MS. The Community MS is pretty new URL. Either one of them, it will redirect you on a same location. Now, we do have quite a lot of these community calls. This is the Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time community call, every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, except on the holiday season. So we'll break on the Tuesday call. On top of that, we have the monthly community call for Power Platform, monthly community call for Office add-ins. And then we have our 7 a.m. Thursday series, which is with the community. So basic idea here is that every single Tuesday, 8 a.m., with Microsoft presenters, the PMs, cloud advocates, the engineers showcasing the art of possible, and then on Tuesdays, community showcasing what they have built across the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. So 2 calls at least every single week, which is really, really cool. Now, for a lot of you, we do welcome you to actually do the presentation. So if you're an MVP, you want to get renewed, if you're looking into get an MVP, or if you're just a normal community member, you built something and you want to showcase and show that to the other community attendees, you can sign up for the demo as well. AKMS Community Request Demo is its way to fill in the form, and then we'll contact you and have a discussion of what timing and schedule works for you so on that Thursday call series or within the Power Platform monthly community call. We do have also a lot of assets available at learn.microsoft.com across all of the different Microsoft 365 Power Platform areas. So please do check out that one as well. A lot of modules for free for you to take advantage. We did mention already the sample gallery. We do have more than 2,500 samples from a one centralized location. So again, rather than you being forced to go multiple locations in GitHub and try to figure out where is the relevant sample for you, you go to the AKMS community samples, write something in a text box area, and you will find a relevant sample for you. That could be a prompt sample. How do I do efficient prompting in Copilot? So all of that is available, for example, in the centralized location. Now, if you are into the technical approach of these things, we also do have a public MCP server for all of those sample gallery assets. We did pretty recently actually do a demo on this one in the community go as well, but you can use it in the GitHub Copilot. You can associate that to the Copilot Studio if you want to play around with MCP server integration within your agents. Now, as a final sample, which is relevant for you, you might be wondering on, how do I now get started on using this sample? Or maybe you have existing samples which you would like to actually get shared for other people in a community. And that's why we have Sharing is Caring initiative. This will get you unplugged within your journey of contributing and getting involved within a community. And directly from LA, we have David Warner explaining what this is all about.
Yes, Vesa, we are in the same time zone together today, so that is awesome. Yes. Sharing is Caring, everybody, is what Vesa mentioned. It is providing hands-on guidance for you if you want to start contributing to the community, but you're a little confused by some of those terms, like the GitHub-isms that they are, Git and pull and raw and pull request. What do those all mean? They're scary. We're going to demystify it. We're going to simplify it, and by the end of this session, you will be a master contributor. And guess what? It counts as a contribution. It's a safe space. We don't record it, so you're free to ask any and all questions that you'd like, and you're going to be collaborating with other members of the community. So it's a great time. We got the session scheduled for the 13th. Get signed up, ak.ms/sharingiscaring. And I mentioned that it is a contribution. And why does that matter? I'm so glad you asked. Because our community recognition program will recognize your contributions with these Credly badges. And our community has been labeled best in class because of all of you. So we've got these amazing badges that are available to everybody for absolutely free. Just need you to opt in, ak.ms/community/recognition. We do love to have fun with them, but they are real and accredited, so we're in the middle of superhero season. You can get that Porcupine Rises badge. And guess what tomorrow is? Hacktoberfest. So we're moving into October. You just need one contribution during the month of October across almost any of our repos to earn that Hacktoberfest badge. And because it's a little bit of a throwback with that 8-bit branding that they're doing, we're adding on even more. We've got a couple Back to the Future, Great Scott, 1.21 gigabit contributor and Back to the Community badges, which we'll be releasing soon. You'll see them. They will be available in the month of October as well. So just need you to opt in, ak.ms/community/recognition, absolutely free. You only need to do it once. We'll track all the amazing work that you're doing, and we'll appreciate you with these badges. Vesa, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, LA. And Hollywood close by, right, Dave?
Hollywood, yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. I have the Walk of Fame I put on my sidewalk actually, just to feel more in touch.
Yes, that's really good. Thank you, David, on that one. Good to be in the same time zone for a while because we're calling from the campus. Now, quick recap on all of the different events which are happening all around the world. The big ones, TechCon 365, Dallas is coming up still in November 3rd to 7th, and then Atlanta is coming on March 16 to 20. 2026, not 2025. That's my typo on the timing. Now, the Power Platform Community Conference is happening in October 28th to 13th, 2025. Really, really great opportunity also meeting up with the community, followed by Ignite. Ignite is a hybrid setup, so you're able to join either in person in San Francisco or most of the sessions, I would say 99% of the sessions, also remotely online by going to the ignite.microsoft.com. A lot of sessions across all of the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform topics there as well. Now, ESBC is following up on then in 1st to 4th of December and Dublin. It is a great venue, great location. If you like Guinness, Dublin is a great location to have an option on that as well. So that's on 1st to 4th of December. And then next year, we have 2026 European Collaboration Summit happening on 5th to 7th of May at Cologne, Germany. So that's on next spring already. In the meanwhile, closer by, we do have a lot of smaller sessions also happening all around the world, all of the different countries and cities, pretty much in every single location in the world. You find all of these events at communitydays.org, so you can actually catch up on the closest event for you if you want to meet in-person people in the community. Now, quick recap on the news from Microsoft side. Within the last week, not that many news, but there's a nice set of new capabilities. For example, on the Office agent, multi-agent systems for Microsoft 365 Copilot, and a few other updates as well. If you're into technology and development side of the house, SharePoint Framework actually, first time for a long time, shared a public roadmap, which is covering the upcoming 12 months of SharePoint Framework releases. So a lot of cool news over there. And thank you, David, for sharing the links in the chat as well. We also do have our prompt library, just to remind on that one as well. This is a great opportunity of finding relevant prompts for my Copilot, to all of the different Copilots, or the Microsoft 365 Copilot and GitHub Copilot and a few other things as well from one centralized location. And every single week, we do acknowledge the contributor of the week. And I did so, Natalie, actually, on the chat already. So Natalie, thank you for contributing. The prompt of the week is basically related on Copilot in a GitHub. So asking asking the GitHub Copilot to actually review and help you to get your code. Could be adaptive card code, JSON definitions, it could be something else to help you to be more efficient on that one. So thank you, Natalie, on helping and sharing your prompt on this one. Now, before we go to the Together picture and the actual demos of today, we also wanted to remind on the Power Platform Community Conference Agent Hack. This is happening on October 19th. We're expected to have more than 2,000 developers building more than 100 agent-driven solutions in a 5-hour hackathon session. When you're registering to the on Power Platform Community Conference, you can actually tap in being interested in that one, and then you can actually, or you will get also notifications and emails on this one when you have registered. Now, then, before we go to the actual stars of the day, let's do a quick group photo. Let's see if I can pull this off within all of the screens in here. Here we go, and I will put this one in here. Oh, this looks pretty okay-ish. So that's good. I can't see that far. I can see close. I can't see far. Okay, here we go. We do have 50 seats in the room. I am ready to start recording, but let's wait for a few more seconds. We're getting a lot of people in the call. This is really, really cool. And we're almost pixel perfect. So this is really, really cool. So if you are willing, and Jim, you got into the call as well. So good work, Jim. You've been having some we've been having technical problems for you for not being in this setup. I think this is good. I will put the recording on. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for being part of the community. We'll grab a GIF animation out of this and share it in social media. Thank you for being here. Really, really cool to see you all. We're building this community for you, and please keep on showing up and let us know how we can improve. Thank you for being here. Really, really cool. Excellent. Time to go to the actual stars. So let me again, if I can find the screens again. Okay, where did you go? Dun, dun, dun. No, where is my screen? Where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Okay, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Now I'm just.
We're so lonely. Everyone's like, peace.
Yeah, but Cory's going to start. Let me actually go. This is now the laptop. This is the. There we go. Now we're getting to the right location. Excellent. So Cory's going to start. We're going to talk about knowledge agent, and then we transition to Judith, who's calling and showcasing stuff from our room, and then Paolo is going to do the last thing. But Cory, you can share the screen and take it away.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm up and running. All right. Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to chat about the knowledge agent with folks on this call. So let's just dive right in. The knowledge agent is really your intelligent content curator. It is more than just a feature. It's really a strategic enabler that will transform your organization by helping you prepare, manage, and also scale your content for trustworthy AI experiences. So the first thing that the knowledge agent assists with is that it can automatically enrich and structure your SharePoint content. And what this means is that it can help to drive Copilot and other agents really deliver accurate, relevant, and compliant responses. So this means that metadata is applied automatically, things like document types or review dates or policy status, without any manual tagging that you typically have with metadata. Second, the knowledge agent can really help you then drive business processes at scale. So this structured knowledge really helps you power search. It can be used for reuse, and it can help to enable like automated workflows or even views for consumption. So whether it's surfacing like the right document or triggering a workflow, the agent is really intended to be seamless, plugging into that enrichment. And then last but certainly not least, the knowledge agent is really about helping you keep your intranet both fresh and engaging. So the agent can proactively monitor content quality. It can help to flag outdated content and retire that. And it can even help you find content gaps. So it helps to ensure that your digital workplace really remains reliable as a source of truth. So the knowledge agent is really, like I said, initially about intelligent curation. So it works behind the scenes and it makes SharePoint smarter, cleaner, and also more valuable for every person, as well as all of your AI interactions. So you saw on that previous screen kind of that floating button in the bottom right-hand corner. This is a bit of a deeper dive into how you will engage with the knowledge agent. So the knowledge agent is accessed through a floating button in the right-hand corner of all SharePoint screens. And this isn't just a UI element, it's really for us a strategic anchor for all of the intelligent assistants that we want to bring across SharePoint, whether it's pages or document libraries. So the floating button will be persistent and it's adaptive. You can see there on the right-hand side, there are some persistent elements of the floating button that you can always expect, like an interface to get into the natural language chat, and also contextual actions or skills in the middle. Here is an example of what the floating button would look like in a document library. This button will change if you're on a page to have skills that are contextually relevant to who you are and what you might want to get done in your flow of work. So you can think of this as really an always-on gateway to the agent ecosystem as well. So if you have SharePoint agents within your site, they will show up here inside of the floating button, and there will always be a button in the bottom that brings you to the broader agent ecosystem. So now I want to talk a little bit about the full spectrum of what the knowledge agent can do. And I want to talk about that in the context of all of the SharePoint users and kind of where the knowledge agent will show up to help them. So it's important to recognize that it's continuously working behind the scenes. It really is intended to enrich, organize, and secure your content. So the first role that I want to chat about is site management. So the site manager is really responsible for keeping the site fresh and compliant and engaging. And so the knowledge agent can help you find broken links. It can help you find content that should be retired that's outdated, like pages. And it can also help you fill content gaps by based off of user behavior, like on search requests that like don't resolve in answers or don't resolve in any engagement. So your internet can stay both relevant and reliable. The second user role is content managers. So a content manager, the knowledge agent helps them enrich and organize that content. And then that enriched and organized content through the power of metadata can actually help to automate workflows and even create views for direct consumption in things like document libraries. So using natural language, you could say something like, create a view for all the policies expiring this quarter, and the agent will jump into action and deliver that view for you. On the content creator side, we know that there are a lot of content creators, and we want AI to really be there to help them effortlessly create this content. So whether it's news posts or dynamic sections or even things like FAQ web parts, we want the knowledge agent to be there to accept a user's description and then really jump into action and help you build whatever content you need to build out within SharePoint. And then last is the content consumer. So pretty much everyone within this SharePoint kind of spectrum of user is consuming content at some point. So the content consumer is really supported by the knowledge agent via kind of this knowledge on demand. And what does that mean? That means that the knowledge agent is contextually aware. It's scoped to who you are and where you are. So you can always interface with it using natural language. And it also provides access to file-based actions. So you can even use the knowledge agent to deliver how you want to consume your content. So something like an audio summary can be accessed through the knowledge agent as well. All right, so I want to chat a little bit about kind of the proof points. We just released the knowledge agent, so about 11 days or so ago, but we've had signal for the knowledge agent for quite some time. I think that the first quote on this screen perfectly kind of captures the reality for many organizations deploying agents in Copilot. Really, content freshness is the next frontier, and AI is only as good as your data. So outdated content really becomes kind of a silent blocker, undermining trust and reducing the relevance and ultimately limiting the effectiveness of AI. So that's where the knowledge agent is ready to step in. So it's not just nice to have, we really see the knowledge agent as a strategic necessity in the era of AI. And again, the agent can help you proactively curate, it can enrich your content, and it can maintain that content so that Copilot will have timely and trustworthy responses. So this is our proof point slide. As you can see there at the bottom, we really feel that there's real customer pain in our conversations with this community and otherwise. We have real urgency and there's a real opportunity for SharePoint to lead. So before I wrap up with calls to action, I just wanted to show you kind of a placemat that shows you the 15 skills that are included in our recent public preview. Those skills cover the range of roles that I chatted about earlier, from site manager to content creator to content manager and then content consumer. The knowledge agent is there to support all of the users in the SharePoint platform with AI value. All right, so here is the calls to action. We have a great knowledge agent launch blog. We have a fantastic explainer video that kind of covers the breadth of the knowledge agent and its value to your organization. We're trying something new. We have a click-through demo as part of the knowledge agent launch blog where you can actually click through and see the experience. And I will actually kindly explain that experience to you if you have audio enabled on your computer. There's also knowledge agent documentation, as always, out on our learn and support sites. And then last but certainly not least is opt-in instructions. As a public preview, you can go ahead and enable the knowledge agent in your tenant today and get started seeing its value across all of the user roles I chatted about earlier. One last important note about feedback. I want to encourage everyone who tries the knowledge agent to really provide that feedback via the product thumbs up and thumbs down. I'm not joking when I say that the product group looks at every single one of these submissions. So please keep your great feedback coming. Looking forward to hearing all that you have to share and anything that you envision the knowledge agent being helpful with in the future. Last but certainly not least, you can get started with the M365 Copilot license when we're in preview. So from here, I want to just hand it over to Judith, who's going to walk us through a demo of the site manager skills. These are 3 of the 15 skills that we have in public preview. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Cory, on that one. Really, really cool. Great intro. And then we'll transition to Judith's demo. Now, word of a warning, Judith's going to actually show some of the same slides, but this is highly intentional because Judith's demo will be also published as an individual video within the YouTube. So we want to make sure that that's a self-sufficient thing. So you're going to see some of the recap slides, but then we'll have a live demo on the site's improvements capabilities today as well. I think I'm good to go. I can see the slides, I can see the deck, and audio should be fine as well. If people can hear me, then audio is fine, definitely on the...
Excellent.
Yeah, take it away.
Thank you so very much, Lisa. I appreciate this. So I'm going to talk today about the knowledge agent in SharePoint and specifically about the improve this site part, 1 of 15 skills of the knowledge agent. My name is Judith Yaaqoubi, and I am a part of the SharePoint experiences team. So let's just start right away in talking about AI and then knowledge agent in general. Is really your intelligent content curator because AI-ready content really starts with SharePoint. The knowledge agent itself is really just not a feature. It is a strategic enabler that transforms how organizations prepare, manage, and ultimately scale their content for trustworthy AI experiences. And a couple of things here I want to make that you also see on the slide here that are really important to us, because first, it automatically enriches and structures SharePoint content. And this is so important because Copilot and other agents need to deliver accurate, relevant, and compliant responses. And they can only do this when they have really good content and when metadata is applied there. And we're going to do this intelligently. So there's really no need for manual tagging anymore. You can use a knowledge agent to apply this for you. Second here, it drives business processes at scale. So structured content fuels search, powers reuse, and enables autonomous workflows. So whether it's surfacing the right document or triggering a workflow, the agent really makes it seamless. And then last but not least, this is really where we're going to deep dive here today and where I'm also going to demo about is how to keep your intranet fresh and engaging. Because ultimately, your intranet is the most curated content that you have. And we need to make sure that it stays fresh, so your users actually can engage with the content and that agent can find the right responses. So the agent here that the knowledge agent proactively monitors content quality. It flags outdated pages and suggests improvements. And again, I'm going to talk about this in depth, so I don't need to, bring this up here in details. Really quick, just a slide that we have. Again, there's 15 skills in knowledge agent. The first one, site managers, for site managers, is what we're going to talk here today, really, to really bring the full spectrum of the knowledge agent to you. There is also skills for content managers, content creators, and content consumers. So this is something that we're going to talk in different videos about. For site managers, again, it keeps the site fresh and compliant. It flags broken links, recommend retired out-of-date pages, and it's really the toolkit that you need for you. So let's just dive in here, and let me switch over to presentation here on our demo tenant that we have. So you see we are in here in a product team site. Actually, I kind of scaled it so it looks a little bigger here. And we have the floating button on the bottom right here. The floating button you see here, it activates and provides quick access to knowledge agent AI features. So it's not just the UI element, it's really the strategic anchor for intelligent assistance across SharePoint. And it is persistent and adaptive. So it really is context aware and provides suggestions based on the content and your role and your behavior. So there's various actions that you see here, and I only see this because I am an owner on this site right now. So I have various options in here that others don't have. One of them is improve the site. And this is what we're going to talk here about a little more. So when we improve the site, we're going to go in here, and you see that the knowledge agent here on the right-hand side, and it has various options for you. It allows you to retire inactive pages, like how many of you have stale content on your pages, on your sites, and need to retire and want to update this. It finds content gaps for you, and it fixes broken links. But let's first look at the inactive pages capability. The agent here spots only one inactive pages here, and there are different options that I have now here. So obviously, this is the roadmap from 2022. It's probably not something that I need anymore, right? So I can look now what I can do. I can see, okay, this is maybe not a page that I want to work on. So I can snooze this and kind of look at it later. Or I can say like, no, this is a page that I actually want to keep. I can view this if I don't really remember, like, oh, if it's a really stale and outdated content, I can look at it and kind of look, oops, that was the wrong button. Look at it and see what does this page actually look like. And then go on here and see this on here. Oops, and now I had a debug link on here. I'm so sorry, because obviously this is a test tenant, so apologies for this. And with the test tenant, I need to make sure that all of my pages are visible, even so they're not really outdated. They were just modified like a day or two ago, right? So here I have it again. So I can view this page, and then I can decide if I want to retire this page or if I want to delete this page. So these are the options that I have up here. If I'm going to retire it, I get here a little option as well, saying like, hey, this page here is retired, so it's gonna go away. And you see that the page does not, there was a question before, like what happens actually when the page is retired? When it is retired, it means that it is deprioritized in agents, in Copilot, and in search. So this is really newer content that you have comes up with much more important, and your site is much cleaner. Now let's go into the find content gaps feature. You see here there is 3 suggestions that I have, and I can learn now what content site visitors are searching for, but they can't find, right? So there's various categories that I see here. One is the price structure. There is a Viber, Sarah core Viber customer cases that users looking for, or the product roadmap, because honestly, our product roadmap here is very outdated, right? So what I can go in here, I can see what are people really looking for. I can click on related terms and see that people have searched in this demo tenant 16 times for price structure, pricing structure, or pricing. So they really want to know a lot about what is the pricing for Sarah Core, right? There's various options again here that I have and that I can do. One is I can manually say like, oh, I know exactly what I want. So I can create a new page or add a new section to a page. very often we find when we talk to customers, they really are not aware of like what do people are looking for and what is actually the experience when they look for that. And therefore, we use AI to make suggestions. We actually tell you, kind of run in the system of like what happens when the customer search for these terms. And we tell you what happens. It actually is that no relevant pages or documents are found about pricing structure, right? So this results in user frustration, lack of engagement. So there's a recommended action for me here. I can create a dedicated page for pricing structure. And so basically it tells me what the prompts is that I should give here. And then you can create the page with AI. Click on this one, the prompt is already in here, and you can send this off and easily create a page that is exactly what customers are looking for. For this, again, we can do this for all of this. The thing to take away here is that we cluster the search terms for you, so you really have good categories of what customers are looking for, and then we allow you to understand what is actually what happens on the site when they are searching for that, and provide a suggestion on how you resolve this so in the future your customers don't have find contacts anymore. Last but not least, we're going to talk about fix broken links here. This is really looking for links that don't work anymore and allow you to redirect them. So what it does here, it actually looks at errors that customers encounter on your site. And that means it not only looks for broken links that are on your site and point to content, it also looks for links that exist that probably sent per emails and point to your site but have a typo in the URL or have a point to a page that doesn't exist anymore. So we really look at what errors our customers encounter or visitors encounter on your site, and we flag this to you, right? In this case here, you see that there's a product portfolios PX page that people are looking for, and they don't. This page doesn't exist on the site. So what happens here right now, you can redirect. You have various options here as well. You can manually redirect this in that you can browse pages that you want to point to customers to when they type this URL in. Or we actually suggest links as well. We know that there is a product portfolio page that exists, and you can actually click just on this one and it redirects to this page. So customers do not encounter broken links on your site anymore. So this is, in a nutshell, what the Site Manager does. It has inactive pages for you, so you don't have any stale content on your site anymore. It finds content gaps, and it fixes broken links. And then I'm going to go back to maybe one more slide here, just a quick overview on what we can have here. So today, we went through the core capabilities of improve the site of the knowledge agent. We looked at how we can retire inactive pages, find content gaps, how we cluster the search terms and make recommendations for you, but then also fix the broken links and recommendations for redirect targets. So, and Visa, that's it for today, the knowledge agent in SharePoint and improve the site.
Excellent. Thank you, Judith, on that one. Really, really cool and a great demo on walking through the capabilities. And there were some questions on the chat. We can see if we can follow up on any of those after the demo setup. But really, really cool capabilities. And thank you, Cory, as well. I know Cory needed to drop because Cory is trying to run or drive to the campus as fast as possible. Cool. But then it is time to transition to Paolo. And we're going to talk about the handling of the legacy user settings. A pretty technical setup. But Paolo's going to walk through what that means in practice. We will, on the knowledge agent and these capabilities, we will have additional upcoming videos and demos as well, where we're going to focus more on the document libraries and content types. I know Jim was asking about all of that stuff as well. That is yet to be scheduled, but within a few weeks, we'll have a specific session focusing on the document library capabilities on the knowledge agent as well. So all of that is definitely in our agenda. But for today, we're really well on the schedule, Paolo. So no reason to rush, but let's walk through what you have related on SharePoint Framework.
Yeah, thank you, Visa. Thanks, everyone. And yes, today we're going to talk about how we can handle legacy user settings in SharePoint Framework. What does that mean? What does that mean to handle legacy user setting? Let me set a bit of context like usual. So, first of all, when we work with SharePoint Framework, we can consume external APIs, which can be Microsoft Graph or any third-party APIs that we want to consume secured with Entra ID and with open authorization. Quite recently, we updated the way we handle the Entra ID app registration for SharePoint Framework. In fact, we used to have an application called SharePoint Online Client Extensibility Web Application Principal, which I think was the longest name ever for an application in Entra ID. But jokes aside, this was the application we used to have, and that one was automatically created in the customer tenants whenever a customer started using SharePoint Framework with permission scopes configured to consume external applications from SharePoint Framework. And that was the application that we also used in a client-side code in SharePoint Framework to get tokens through Entra ID to consume, as I said, Graph and any other API secured with Entra ID. Now, starting from March 2025, we have a new application which is called SharePoint Online Web Client Extensibility. That's a first-party multi-tenant application. What does that mean? First-party means that it is an application provided by Microsoft as a multi-tenant application compared to the previous one, which was registered in every single tenant as any other third-party application. Now, with this new application, we'll still go for getting the tokens from Entra ID to consume Microsoft Graph and any other API secured with Entra ID, but with a different model, with a multi-tenant application, which has been created and registered as multi-tenant by Microsoft as a first-party one. And what happened when we transitioned from the old one to the new one was that all of the previously granted permissions were automatically copied over to the new application. So that's to set a bit of context. And then I will show you, and you can already find in the chat, a link to a blog post we made to make it clear what's going on with these updates in the inner workings of the security model of SharePoint Framework. Now, why we did this change? Well, for multiple reasons. One was to have better performances, because now, since we have a single application, we can get faster tokens when we need to consume external application, and we share the same tokens across first-party and third-party applications, and that's an improvement. We also have a better reliability of the solution, and we also have a better governance, because from an administrator point of view, you can have a set of permissions pre-authorized by Microsoft, and as an administrator, you can choose to change those pre-authorized permissions. Of course, let me put it this way, at your own risk, because of course, if you will change the pre-authorized permissions, it might be that something that was working out of the box will stop working due to the changes to the application permissions. But at the same time, you have the freedom to customize and to configure all of the permissions based on your actual needs. So these are the main reasons why we made these changes. But what is the impact of these changes? Well, if you think about that, the old application, the one with the long name, SharePoint Online Client Extensibility Web Application Principal, had its own client ID. The new one, the SharePoint Online Web Client Extensibility, does have a new client ID. So whenever you relied on the client ID of the application to do stuff like retrieving a token or consuming an API which is bound to a specific application registration, well, since we have two different applications, the behavior will change. So whenever you were used to rely on the client ID of the old application, now you need to rely on the new one, just to make an example. And that's something that you usually don't do very often, to be fair, because generally speaking, you rely on the plumbing provided by SharePoint Framework to get all of the complexity under the cover hidden for you by the plumbing provided by SPFX itself. However, there are specific scenarios where you really needed to rely on the application backing SharePoint Framework when retrieving access token. And the handling of user settings is one of those scenarios. In fact, in the Microsoft Graph, we have an endpoint, an API that we can use to get the so-called special folders. And one of them is called the app root special folder. The app root special folder is a special folder, as the name implies, that you can get to have access to a specific and dedicated folder in the OneDrive for Business of every single user to store files, settings, information that you need, and that will be stored on a per user, per app basis. And when I say per app basis, I mean that every single application registered in Entra ID, and as such, every different client ID of applications registered in Entra ID will have a dedicated application root special folder for every user. That implies that since we changed from the old application to the new one, and so from the old client ID to the new one, any application settings that you eventually stored in the app root special folder for the old application will not be available anymore in the new one. And that's why we need today in this demo to see how you can work around this potential challenge that you will need to face. Another thing that you need to keep into account is that also, I told you before that all of the permission scopes granted to the old application were copied over to the new one. And that applies also to the dot selected permissions, so the site selected permissions and all of the other something dot selected permissions that we have in Microsoft Graph. However, if you have ever used those permissions, you know that when you grant the dot selected permissions to an application registered in Entra ID, then from an administrative point of view, you will also need to use the Graph APIs or PowerShell or CLI to assign specific selected permissions for the target resources that you want to use. So for example, if you assign the dot selected permission, the site dot selected permission to an app, then you will still need from an administrative point of view to define what are the selected site collection that that application will be allowed to access, okay? So when we introduced the new application, we copied over the dot selected permissions, but we did not intentionally copy over all of the permission assignment for all of the selected resources, because we don't want to have the responsibility to grant permission to access resources on your behalf as a customer. So you need to re-grant all of those permissions, again, up to you through APIs, PowerShell, or CLI. And if you think about that, it is also a great opportunity for you to make an access and permissions review of all of your permissions from a SharePoint Framework perspective. So that's the context. That's where we start from. Now, let me explain you what I'm going to show you now as the proposed solution for handling legacy settings for users. So basically, we simply need to find a way to access the old special folder, so the one associated with the old application registered as a third-party one in every single tenant, so that we can copy all of the settings over to the new one, or we can at least still get access to those settings, even if now we have a new client ID for the new application. In order to do that, you can easily rely on the Microsoft Graph client that we have in SharePoint Framework. And since I told you that the app root special folder is a folder which is bound to a specific user and application, the user can always see that specific folder. And as such, if you use Microsoft Graph under the identity of the user and you go to this specific path of Microsoft Graph, so /me/drive/root/apps/ the name of the old application, there you will be able to find all of your settings still there, still available to you. And if you want, you can choose to copy them over to the new special folder, or you can simply read them. That's completely up to you. Then, if you want to create also a better architected solution, you can also keep an eye on a demo that I delivered on September 23rd in this series of community calls, sorry, where I explain how to create a properly architected solution relying on an Azure function to have a better and decoupled architecture to handle these settings. But that said, let me move to the demo environment. Let me show you how you can handle those legacy settings in SharePoint Framework. So let me switch to Visual Studio Code. And here we are. This is the application that I'm going to show you. And actually, before having a look at the application itself, I want to show you, first of all, the blog post we made where we announced the changes in SharePoint Framework. And that's the blog post. And as I said, you can find the link in the chat, and you will find it also in the description of the video on YouTube. Then, this is the API to get the special folder. And as such, you can go to Microsoft Graph and invoke the /me/drive/special and to provide a name. And the name for the uproot special folder is, wondering what? Uproot. So you make a request for uproot and you can get that unique folder. And I created this application, which is already available as a sample in the sample gallery for the community, including the GitHub repository. So it is an open source solution. And here you can see the web part in action. It is a really simple solution. You can simply select the browse legacy app files, and the application will go and browse for all of the files stored in the old uproot folder of the old application. Here, for the sake of having an example, I have a solution that I created using the old model, and I can either see the file in OneDrive for Business, so I can select view and download the file as the actual content of the file, or I can simply see in the web part the content of the file, and here you can see there is just a URL that I stored as a setting for my application. So let me go back to Visual Studio Code and let me explain you how the SharePoint Framework web part works. This is a really basic web part. I created it with the regular scaffolding of SharePoint Framework. And in the onInit method, I rely on the MS Graph Client Factory object of the context to get a Microsoft Graph client object version 3. Then once I've got the client, I store it in a private variable of my web part so that I can provide it to a React component that I use for the rendering of the user experience. The React component is actually a functional component in which I simply implemented the handle browse legacy file command, which will be triggered when I select the button that I showed you before. And in there, using the graph client that I get as an input argument from the web part, I simply make a Microsoft Graph API request for the path that I was showing you before in the slide deck. So me, drive root, apps, SharePoint Online, client extensibility, web application principal, that's the name of the folder, / children, to get all of the files inside that folder. Once I've done that, I simply browse through all of the files. And if I want to get the content of a specific file, I simply do me /drive/items. I provide the unique ID of the file /content to get the actual content of the file. And again, I can read and write the content to copy it over to the new uproot or whatever else you want to do. Okay, so really, really simple scenario, but this will save your life if you need to keep the old settings available also in the new context, because otherwise with the new client ID, if you will simply try to access the uproot using the Microsoft Graph endpoint, you will get a new folder, which by default with the new client ID will be an empty folder, and you will not have anymore all of your old settings. So this is really useful as long as you relied on this uproot capability in the past. That said, I think that's all also for me. So today we are finishing quite early on schedule. You have just a couple of links, useful links that you can rely on. So the URL of the sample application in the sample gallery, the article, the blog article where we explain the changes in the inner workings of the permission grants in SharePoint Framework, and then the API to get the special folder just in case you want to dig into it. So thanks for attending this demo. I hope you found it useful, and back to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Paolo, on that one. This is a unique situation. We have 10 minutes, which is great. So we can finally get some time back, because quite often we go a few minutes long, and that's not really optimal either. So this is better, definitely. Thank you, Paolo, on that one. Really, really cool setup. Let me then take the screen, and we're going to close up for today. And that's going to give us a few minutes, more extra time as we transition. Here we go. That looks good. And so thank you, Cory, thank you, Judith, and also thank you, Paolo, for great demos today. Really, really cool setup and walking through the end users and also developer capabilities today across the SharePoint platform. So today we focus really on SharePoint. Next week, we have a bit of an adjusted, a different schedule, where we're going to focus more on Power Platform as well. So next week, on 7th of October, we have a Dira joining us on introduction and request for information in Copilot Studio Agent Flow. And then I'm going to do the introduction on SharePoint agents, which was initially planned for today. That's going to focus on custom agent creation and how does that work within a SharePoint. So you don't have to do necessarily Copilot Studio agents or any other agent options if you're just manipulating or looking into having an agent against SharePoint files, which is quite often the default case. But that's on 7th of October at 8 a.m. Pacific time, so a week from now. Now, in the meanwhile, we do have our Discord server. If you're interested, we are closing into, if I can actually move to the following slide. Let's see if I can actually, there we go. There we go. Yes, now it works. So we are closing into 3,000 members in our Discord server. So if you are interested and you are spending time in Discord, great server and a location to share your findings and report any issues or having discussions with other people in the community. We're also always looking into feedback for these calls. So AKMS community calls feedback would be the URL. What works, what doesn't work, how can we improve? What I think about these calls, that is highly beneficial for us if you would actually fill in the form, because it helps us to continue going forward and having these calls in the future as well. We're not planning to stop, just to be super clear, but it's always good to have some proof on the value what these calls are providing. Now, the recording of this call will be available within 24 hours at Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel at the AKMS Community YouTube. And we will, of course, update you whenever that happens in LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Twitter, and all of those different locations. And the next call, as mentioned, is happening on October 7th. Now, this week, we do have a community-powered, community demo-powered call happening on Thursday. And you can always check all of the different community calls at AKMS Community Calls URL. But that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining on the call. And thank you one more time for Cory and Judith and Paolo for the great demos. And I think that's it then. Thanks, everybody. Let's stay in touch. Cheers. Bye-bye.